Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the newest film from Andrew Patterson, The Vast of Night. So this is a new Amazon original film that's set in the 1950s and follows the story of two teenagers in a small New Mexico town and end up investigating a strange signal discovered by switchboard operator Faye that leads them onto a quest to discover if UFOs have landed in their small town. The storyline of this movie does take place over one night while the entire town is attending a high school basketball game, and it does move in real time. So it's very similar to 1917, but this movie isn't trying to achieve that sort of effect in one shot. There are some very long takes, but there are cuts to multiple camera angles throughout, and this plays out kind of like a short story lifted out of the Twilight Zone that was stretched into a feature-length film. It's been a little while since I've reviewed a movie, and if you have not seen one of my film reviews before, I'll give a quick spoiler alert at this point if you haven't seen this movie already. Now, I do admire that they are trying to really keep you captivated in this moment, but the way that this movie starts is not exactly captivating in my opinion. There is a solid 20 minutes of introductory moments that shows the characters just kind of interacting with each other, but it really feels unnecessary as there isn't much character development that happens. Now, remember, this does take place over one night, so that is kind of difficult to get these personalities across in such a short period of time. For a lower budget film though, the cinematography is absolutely beautiful, and I think it fits the tone of the film extremely well. The picture has a pretty noticeable grain effect going on, but I actually like that. I think it enhances the really hazy atmosphere coming out of those really warm golden colors. It reminds me a lot of like David Fincher's Zodiac or even like Super 8. Also, there's a very minimal amount of music used, which I gotta admit comes off kind of awkward and out of place at times, especially how it's introduced with those really minimal guitar passages. It's not really until like towards the end of the movie that the music really enhances the overall tension of the film. Things do start to pick up once Faye interrupts that strange signal, and the way that this movie is shot starts to kind of make more sense and make everything seem a lot more captivating in the moment. But then there's points in here where the camera just kind of has a mind of its own, like that really long, ridiculous tracking shot that they kind of use to transition out of the main characters in to show you the high school basketball game going on. I mean, it's a pretty cool shot to kind of see all the scenery of the town, but I mean, it is just really unnecessary. You could have just cut to the game, honestly. But I mean, I'm sure they used this shot to kind of continue that theme of keeping this whole movie in real time. And then you got moments on here like when the other main character, DJ Everett, is speaking to that guy on the phone whose name escapes me at this moment about how he had heard the signal before, and the whole screen just cuts to black for God knows what reason. I mean, it is just like, what are we even doing here? Also, it does seem a bit random how they use the television filter over a couple spots on these scenes for like montage footage, and I know it's there to kind of like recreate the feeling and effect of an old Twilight Zone episode, but it's just used so randomly and just didn't need to happen, honestly. Now, given what happens and the way that it is shot, it is certainly a slow burn and will require a certain amount of patience. I honestly think it could have used maybe a couple action scenes or scares just along the way to keep the tension going, because for the most part, this movie is like 100% dialogue driven, which would totally be okay if you inserted some more memorable characters into the script. I mean, the main character is basically supposed to portray a skeptic, but he's just comes off like a huge dick everywhere he is, and Faye has that like really passionate curiosity that's meant to drive the plot forward, but I mean, she doesn't really have a personality either and comes off pretty shallow. But to my surprise, I actually really enjoyed the way that this film ended though, and how like throughout the whole movie you don't get to see any of these UFOs or aliens. They're always really just implied in the background, and they don't really reveal that until the end, and the way that they do is pretty cool, and I like how it leaves off on this mystery of like, did they get abducted or not, when you just get that shot of the recorder that's half buried in the sand implying that they did. So I mean, overall for me, I think the big selling point to what's going on here is that atmosphere once again. Unfortunately though, it's just not really enough to just make up for these really boring characters and all these stupid camera experiments going on here. So I mean, with that being said, I'm feeling a 6 over here on The Vast of Night. Now, there are no Blu-ray releases announced of this yet, but it is streaming on Amazon Prime Video if you are a paid subscriber. But also what's really cool about this movie and what Amazon did was they did roll this out in drive-in theaters that I do believe is showing at about 70 locations across the country. So I mean, it is pretty much like the perfect kind of movie to watch in a drive-in and would be really cool. So if there is a drive-in around you, highly suggest going and seeing this movie in a drive-in. And if you had already seen The Vast of Night, what did you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and share, and if you want more content from me, hit that subscribe button. Peace.